And welcome to another fine and exciting video tutorial here at SCIS Middle School. Design Technology, iMedia, and we are looking at part 1 of the final construction phase for our fantastic Adirondack chair. So if we scroll all the way down here to Final Assembly Part 1, we're going to get a little bit of a GIF file. And this will tell you about exactly how you are going to be constructing and which parts that go with this construction. So we see we have our first one, the chair frame, the spacer, some back support, and the chair slates. Now this can be slightly difficult, and I'm going to try to walk you through some of the things that I know about SketchUp, particularly when using the Move Copy tool, which is exactly what we'll be using for in this one. So first things first, you need to really have your cutting list here ready to go, and so that we can view it and see which parts we need. But we'll get to that later. First thing, let's organize our files. I'm going to control click save link as, and I'm going to save this to my desktop. Just minimize that for now, and you can see that I have that file right here, the assembly part 1, and I already went ahead and organized my SketchUp files in this folder here called Final Assembly 1. In fact, they're not my SketchUp files, but Aspion's SketchUp files, so thank you, Aspion. So I'm going to move this right into here, and just so that I keep it well organized. If you don't keep it organized, you run the risk of choosing the wrong part. So I know that from here I have A, which is here, B, G, and D. So all of my necessary files are placed in this particular folder. And then we're ready to go. So let us go into SketchUp, and I have here choose templates, product and woodworking millimeters, start using SketchUp. And I'm going to just go automatically file save as, and I'm going to save this into that folder that I created, Final Assembly 1, and I'm going to save it as Final Assembly 1, and save. Okay, now I'm going to take my little file that I created, this GIF file, and I'm just going to move that in there. Let's try that again. Okay. And I'm just going to take a look at it right now. I'm really not going to use this GIF file because it's a matter of just giving me some reference points. So I'm actually just going to take it and I'm going to move it just along the green axis over here, so I can keep my access point kind of ready, but it'll be there in case I need to look at it, which I will be. So let's look at the first parts here. Let's start with part A, the frame. So I'm going to go over to my folder, get into part A, and I'm going to go open with, or just double click it. And we're going to see that pop up. Now, if this was done correctly, which it has been, it is now a component. I'm going to command click and copy this component, command C to copy, and come over here to my other SketchUp file, command V to paste that component, so that I have that component ready to go. Now remember, these have all been sized correctly already. The next thing, I'm going to grab all my other components and place them in here so that I'm ready to go. So I have A, now I want D, the back support, and you can see that we want the chair back support or the chair front support. Which one do we need? Let's see here. If we go back to our cutting list, we want part D, the lower back support. It's 90 by 620. So these are slightly mislabeled, but that's okay. We just got to find the one that is 620, which is this one. So the chair front support, command C, and oops. And yeah. And I'm going to Command V that, and I'll just move that here and place it next to it there. Just kind of hover over that and just place that right there. Close that window and continue on. Let's see, part B. Command click, Command C. I did it again. And let's see, Command V. Hover over that for a moment, and I may just put that right over there. And then the G portion, before I make that mistake again, Command C and Command V. So I have all of my parts ready to go, and now I can start looking at the assembly. Again, organization is key. The cutting list comes into play here because we're looking at how many of these pieces we actually need. So for part A, it says we need 2 of these are required. Well, we don't have to build them particularly ready. So, I mean, I'm going to build this so that first thing I want to rotate this, and I'll just build it one at a time. So let me just take this one, and I'm just going to move it over here just for now. Now, I need 2 of these, and I need them to be rotated. So let us rotate this, and for this I actually need my tool palettes, large tool set. I'm going to bring in my protractor. Let's select this first, my protractor, start from here, anchor point, and I'm going to raise up 90 degrees, please. Actually, not my protractor, my move tool. 90 degrees. Now, I'm going to use my move copy tool. Click on one of these points here. Click Option to toggle my copy, and keep that squared along the green axis. See? Now, let's take another look at our... Let's start with this D here. And D was... which one? We should have labeled these, I think. Well, actually, we can label them. I think we can just quickly... chair front support, seat slates, and back spacer. So D is the lower back support, so this portion, this one right here. So let us take that D, and we're going to move this one over to this area here. Now, if we look at this carefully, we'll see that this has to obviously go flush. The distance between of this space is 620 millimeters, and the distance between here and the other end is 590. So we need to increase this, but we can actually increase that a little later. But what I probably want to do is just take this one, and I'm just going to move it a little bit further out along the green axis. Now this one we're going to have to rotate twice, or actually no, just rotate it once. From here along my blue axis, please. And of course it will help if we select the correct one. And we want to rotate that 90 degrees. Now, this has to go here if we look at our diagram correctly. So let's see if we can get that. Now, the best way to move something like this is to move one corner, one endpoint to another endpoint, because Google SketchUp likes to snap at endpoints. So if I just do a free move at this endpoint, knowing that this endpoint needs to be touching this endpoint, then that can work. Let's move that, and you see it'll snap at that particular endpoint. Now there's some overlapping, but I'm not too worried about that, because once we have that, it's an easy matter of now rotating this until it's flat this way. Now we take this one and we're going to move it in a similar fashion. We're going to snap that endpoint onto this endpoint. So move copy tool here, there. And Command S, please, file, save, so we save our work. Our next step, let's do part B here, which is this spacer, which I'm assuming is this one here, or this one. No, these are the slates, this is the spacer. So, we look at this again. This should be, let's take a look here. $580, which sounds about right. Let's take this, and we know that this endpoint has to be matching with this endpoint. So let's take our move copy tool here, and we'll move it there. Now we measured this correctly. That should go a little flush. Looks like we have a little bit of a problem, but you know what? You know what? You're right. We didn't move this out correctly. We moved it at the wrong level. So that's good points. So let's move that better. Move copy this endpoint matching here. And I think that will just about do it. Right about there. All about the angles. Now, rotating, and that is pretty darn good. Obviously a little bit, oh no, pretty flush. Well done, Espen. So now, taking this, we're going to rotate this again. Now, it's hard to see exactly how far to rotate, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually just use my protractor, and I'm going to see the angle. This is about 17.3 here. So I'm going to want to rotate this one, this blue one, and if I can find that snapping point here, there, and let's rotate again. Oh, I guess we can just snap it along the axis. And that, my friends, looks pretty good. Although this is not quite exactly what we wanted to do. Because if we look at the plan, this needs to actually rotate vertically. So let's try rotating this thing again. And the idea is to have it snap along that, which I'm not sure we did particularly well. No, we didn't. So let's move this point. We're going to have to rotate again. And hopefully you guys will find a better way of rotating. Oops. Almost. That is pretty flush. There we go. Again, it's about using the tools that you have. Finish, Command Save, or Command S. And what's left now is our seat. This probably can be the more difficult portion here. And you can see we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's sort of the estimate. If we go back to our file here, the seat slates, they say about 13. I counted 14 there, but it really has to kind of go around the entire length of that seat. You can see that. We'll probably want to start from the bottom here. So let's take a look at our first seat slate, and we might have to kind of finagle this one in. So let's move it into proper position first. And if I am aware of this, this is going to have to rotate kind of this way, I think, first. And we just kind of follow this curve. This is going to be all about kind of rotating. You know, kind of making it rotate. Now, if you get a little bit of this, that's okay. This overlapping, I'm going to assuming that we're going to have a little bit of an overlap here. Not the end of the world. In fact, if you don't want the overlap, just get as close as you can. Make sure you zoom in, otherwise then you're going to have some problems. So try to get as close as you can. The thing about the overlapping is, who here's ever worked with wood? You know, wood is a very kind of soft substance, especially this kind of wood, which is pine. Pine is extremely soft, which means that if I was to nail this piece of wood onto this, the wood itself would actually bend and form slightly to the curve here that I'm going at. So we can, of course, do that in Photoshop. I'm sorry, Photoshop, in SketchUp. But you know, we can say that there is some kind of overlapping here, and that's not a big deal. You don't want to go overlapping crazy here, but a little bit of overlapping is not gonna really ruin this. You know, that is okay. Now, from here, it's a matter of duplicating this. So we get our Move Copy tool. I probably want to duplicate it at this point. Click Option, and I'm going to snap the next one there. Rotate again. Zoom in, so it gives me a better rotation. Maybe something like that. That could work. And kind of keep that going until you fill up to the end of this rounded piece here. You know, again, it's all about rotations and so on. Every now and then with this, you should press Command S or File Save in order to save your work. Okay? This is part 1. the main tools here, move, copy, and rotate tool. You guys can, if you do this successfully, you have mastered that tool. Okay? This is part 1 of the final assembly of our Adirondack chair. Okay, guys? Enjoy it. If you have any problems, try different angles, kind of get there. Okay? I'm sure you guys will have fun with it. Ready, set, go.